What's up YouTube, Mex Tech Guy here. So recently my router started to give out on me and decided to go router hunting. I came across this guy, the Google OnHub. I've heard a lot of good things about this router in the past, so decided to give it a shot. Price wise, it runs about $145 from the Google store right now, which is just as cheap as other stores and other prices I've seen online. Anyways, the unboxing is very clean and reminds me a lot of the Google Home unboxing. It has some instructions on the flap when you open it up and then reveals the router itself. Underneath the router, you have the accessories that are going to get you up and running. One box contains 2 Ethernet cables and the other box contains the power adapter. Normally I don't care about the accessories, but in this case I have to give Google credit not only because of the color of the cables, but because they have a flat cable design along with a cable management strap. Really nice. So onto the router. I honestly believe this router is one of the most unique looking routers I've ever seen. But don't think that the router looks this way just for looks. The design plays a big part on its functionality. It sort of reminds me of a mini trash can, but aesthetically this device is something even in awkward locations such as your kitchen or living room. It will either stand out and have people asking what it is, or may just blend in, which I like. Twisting the outer layer of the router is what reveals the inside of the router containing the necessary ports. You have the power port, a USB port, and 2 WLAN ports, which one is used for your modem connection. So the setup is fairly simple. Download the Google Wi-Fi app from the Play Store or App Store, and once downloaded, open it up and it's going to ask you for your Gmail account. Upon choosing it and following the on-screen steps, you can then turn on your router. I would suggest using the included Ethernet cables because they're slimmer, and when popping the case back on, well, you'll see why. The WLAN port on the bottom will be going from your router to the modem, and the other port is for any other device you want hardwired in, and obviously the hole on the left will be for the power adapter. Once it's on, just follow the on-screen steps from the app to get the router connected. You'll hear the router making noise at one point, and you might be asking what in the world is that noise? But it's simply the router sending audio pulses to your phone for seamless setup. There are a few more steps in the app to follow, but other than that, the router is all set up. Spec wise, you definitely get what you pay for. This router is originally $200, so it's not a cheap router, but $200 is going to get you 13 antennas, up to 1900 megabytes per second, but obviously depends on the speed you pay for, the ability to add more than 100 devices, and a range of up to 2,500 square feet. These specifications are what most people look for when buying a router, and as you can tell, this router is no joke. One thing you will notice right away is the glowing light around the top of the router. This light is used to let you know the status of the router. Green means you're good to go, red means something's wrong with the router, amber means no internet, and blue either means it's downloading an update or factory resetting. If you're not a big fan of the light, you can always control the brightness from the app or even shut it completely off. Besides specs and aesthetics, the one key difference that sets this router apart from the competition is the application interface. The application is clean, simple, and easy to understand. With the application, you're able to do speed tests on the fly. No need to go to a website or download another app to do so. In addition, you're able to see all the devices that are connected to the router and the usage in real time. One of the cool things about this router is that you can prioritize a device for a certain amount of time. To throw a cherry on top, you can set up a rule so that you can tell Alexa to do so. Alexa, trigger my PS4.
Sending them to IFT.
If there's one downside to this is that you can only do it for up to 4 hours. I'm sure Google can push an update to increase the time limit or even make a device permanently priority, but for now, that's what you get. However, on the flip side, you can also restrict certain devices from Wi-Fi usage. In my case, I can set up a rule so that I can end my son's tablet use at a particular time or after a certain amount of hours, and it works flawlessly. I can see this extremely useful for other parents as well. Also, if you have Philips Hue light bulbs, then you can control the bulbs via the app as well for a one-stop place to control all your devices. Along with all these control features, you can also have the option to control advanced networking settings such as DNS, UPnP, and network modes, in addition to restarting the router or setting up a guest network. Now, most routers come with 2 different networks and 2 different logins. One's for the 2.4 GHz network and the other's for the 5 GHz network. It can be confusing for some, and many might not even know the difference or even why they're separate logins, but Google is aiming to solve that problem. Essentially, the router itself puts the connected devices on the appropriate network depending on the usage, distance, and priority. Instead of having separate logins, you have one network to log into and the router will take over from there. This to me was a selling point, not because I don't understand 2.4 and 5 GHz networks, but because I knew I was always going to get the best connection and the best speed without me having to switch between networks on my devices. And I'm a firm believer that this router solves the many problems that homes have. You can easily control your network from the simple to use application, and at the same time, you know you will always be getting the best possible connection because the router actually has a self-improving system in which it learns over time how your devices are used and how they operate to ensure the best possible experience. To make the cake sweeter, you can do all of this remotely from the app from anywhere as long as you have an internet connection and the router is connected to the internet. Pretty neat. Well guys, that wraps up today's video. Feel free to leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more of my videos, please press that subscribe button down below. Catch you guys in the next one. Later.